All right, moment of truth. What's going on, guys and girls? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are going to be partially successfully fixing the four-wheel drive on this 2000 Toyota Tundra, which shares parts with the First Gen Sequoia. This is an electronic actuated four-wheel drive system. So if you're getting that high blink of death on your four-wheel drive, stay tuned, but it does have a little bit of a snafu, but it is working. You know, that's the most important part. So anyways, let's get into the video. What's going on, everybody? Dan from the future here. I realized that in the video, I actually forgot to show you guys how you verify that it's not your rear transfer case actuator and it's actually your front differential actuator. Go inside and press the four-wheel drive button. After you engage your four-wheel drive, you're gonna come out and you're gonna go underneath the driver's side of the truck right here. What you're gonna do is, with your hand, is try and spin this drive shaft. As you can see right now, the drive shaft is moving. The four-wheel drive is not engaged. So if you engage the four-wheel drive and you come down here and you try and spin this and it doesn't spin, that means that this actuator, the one attached to the transfer case, which is at the end of that drive shaft, is working. So this one's job is to lock the drive shafts together so all four wheels move at the same time. Okay, I have the car jacked up. So this is the front differential actuator right there. You can see it right under here. This is the steering rack. We're on the passenger side of the car, and you can see it's tucking in right there. So right there, you can see it. I'll shine some light. Right over there. So essentially, it's four 12mm bolts, and you can see one of the bolt holes right there. So when removing the actuator, I definitely recommend using a wobble socket on the end of a couple of extensions. Makes it a lot easier because it's really tied up in there. Secondly, definitely use a catch pan underneath the actuator because it will drip gear oil. As you can see here, I am testing the actuator by just letting it hang because I don't have a bench tester, and I recorded whether it was working or not. And to my surprise, it worked. So anything that I thought that I was going to do that was going to be a simple diagnosis went out the window. So if you can see my hand here, I removed the pigtail. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to shimmy the actuator out from behind the steering rack. This is where the actuator lives. And so what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to go out this hole over here along the exhaust. This power steering line is barely connected, so I can move it around. As you can see the clip there, and I'm going to push it over and just take my time. Don't get frustrated, you'll be able to get it out. Perfectly viewed here. You can see the collar. You see that collar there? It's like a U-shaped collar. That is where the forks sit. Right, it slides on the splines and it locks the axles together. That's what gives it the four-wheel drive. What my issue was that my forks were sitting outside of that collar. Yes, it's actuating. Yes, it was sliding it left, but it was not in the correct position to move that collar left to right. So you can see the collar. This is my pry bar, and the pry bar moves this collar left to right. Right now, the splines aren't aligned, so it gets jammed. So, and this is normal for like an old car, but this is the collar that is supposed to slide. And that's right here is where it's supposed to sit. So that was the issue with mine. Okay, so before we continue, let's talk a little bit more about the actuator itself. Now, obviously, I'm trying to explain to you how the forks slide and lock the front axles. Now, in your case, I have seen that there are essentially two different things that could be the issue as to why your actuator is not functioning. So in this first picture, I'm showing you what's behind this black cover held together by these Phillips head screws is crop circle looking electrical connectors. That is failure point number one. What you'll see is that the O-ring will fail and allow moisture to get inside here and basically corrode the connectors. So you kind of have to clean out this bacon grease looking stuff, replace it with dielectric grease. But before that, you're gonna have to clean off the connectors and make sure they're getting a good clean contact. Now, the other thing that I've seen is the worm gear, which is a new term I've learned, which sits inside the bell looking thing. And over here, you can see the very ridges of the gear itself. The worm gear will will also possibly also have moisture and get corroded and not move the gear itself. So this worm gear spins and then moves this big looking gear, and that's what actually physically moves the forks left to right. You know, and this is assuming that your actuator is getting the appropriate voltage for it to actually function. But those are the two things that I've seen, and that's what I thought I had, but I got lucky that I had a functioning actuator. All it needed to do was be reseated. Let's talk reassembly. Reassembly was a nightmare. It took me an hour, 45 minutes to get it back in the truck. The fork and collar is going to be a tight fit. So you're gonna wanna get the forks just onto the collar where you know it's in the correct position. You're gonna slightly move the tires back and forth so the splines will line up and you can actually line up the bolt holes, and then you're gonna start the bolt. And then it'll literally line itself up. Little dowels that they have there are gonna line up and it'll be perfect. I got RTV absolutely everywhere trying to get it in. I hope if anything out of this video is that you take this advice, because it'll save you a lot of time. Maybe mine's weird, because remember, I have an aftermarket actuator. So maybe an OEM one slides in a lot better. I don't know. All right, moment of truth. Okay, battery's good. Oh yeah. Let me see if I can. There we go. All right, press the button. Okay, so on this test, this tire should spin and that tire should spin. I'm gonna put this on top of the other tire so you can see if it spins or not. So these tires should be locked. Here goes nothing. Uh-oh. Yeah, boy. We got four-wheel drive. So in order for me to fix the blinking on my four-wheel drive, I have a few options. Number one, change the front differential fluid, which I didn't do. I should have done it. Secondly, would be to cycle four-wheel drive back and forth so it'll polish the splines. If there is any gunk or anything on there, it'll kind of just like rub it off. God knows when the last time the four-wheel drive was engaged. Thirdly is going to be replacing this sensor here. This here is the actuator that's attached to the transfer case. Over here, this sensor may be reading that my actuator is taking too long to complete the travel from one side to another, so it'll incessantly blink. And lastly, what I would do is open her up again and physically clean the splines so the collar will have a clean path and it won't have any resistance. Okay, now we're gonna give it a go. Oh, I'm in neutral. All right. All right, so now I'm gonna put it in neutral again. Take the four-wheel drive off. Okay, now it's going into drive. Okay. We're stuck again. Okay. Neutral. I'm in drive. 4 high. Yeah. It's working.